In the twilight of the 19th century, Thomas Edison, the Wizard of Menlo Park, believed he could cure one of humanity's oldest ailments: loneliness. His solution wasn't found in community or compassion, but in brass, wax, and wire. He promised a friend for every child, a voice in the quiet rooms of the world. But what he unleashed instead became a specter in the nursery, a machine that didn't soothe, but screamed. This is the story of the invention Edison wished the world would forget, a nightmare forged in the name of progress. By 1890, Edison was more than a man. He was a myth. He had tamed lightning, captured sound, and given motion to still images. His ambition knew no bounds. Fresh from the triumph of the phonograph, he turned his gaze to the toy industry. The idea was elegantly simple, yet revolutionary. A doll that could speak, a doll that could recite nursery rhymes, sing lullabies, and offer a child a constant, unwavering companion. In theory, it was a beautiful dream. In practice, it would become a waking terror. The heart of this new creation, its very soul, was to be the phonograph, shrunk down to fit inside a child's toy. But a machine needs a voice. And this is where the story takes its first dark turn. Edison didn't hire professional singers or seasoned voice actors. Instead, he turned to the women working in his factories. These were not artists. They were laborers, young women already weary from long, grueling shifts. They were instructed to stand before crude recording horns and shout nursery rhymes into the unforgiving metal. Imagine the scene: a dimly lit factory floor, the air thick with the smell of oil and metal. For hours on end, these women yelled classics like "Mary Had a Little Lamb" and "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star." Their voices, already strained from a day of work, grew raw and hoarse. They repeated the lines again and again, their exhaustion and frustration etched into every sound wave pressed onto the fragile wax cylinders. Reports from the time suggest some of the women cried between takes, their frustration and physical pain palpable. These recordings, born of discomfort, exhaustion, and they were sealed, raw, and distorted inside the dolls. The strained, desperate whispers of factory girls were to become the first words a child's new friend would speak. The doll itself was a marvel of Victorian craftsmanship, with a porcelain head, glassy, unblinking eyes, and a finely crafted wooden body. But hidden within its torso was a monster of a machine, a miniature, hand-cranked phonograph, a complex web of gears, levers, and a sharp stylus resting on a delicate wax cylinder. This was not a toy for the faint of heart. It was heavy, fragile, and unsettlingly complex. To make the doll speak, a child or a parent had to turn a crank protruding from its back. The sound that emerged was nothing short of horrifying. The limitations of early audio recording technology twisted the women's voices into something unrecognizable, something monstrous. The sound was thin, metallic, and warped, a ghostly echo that seemed to emanate from a great and terrible distance. Pitches shifted unnervingly. The speed wavered, and the nursery rhymes came out broken, slurred, and terrifyingly slow. Instead of a gentle twinkle, twinkle, little star, a child might hear a drawn-out, demonic groan. It wasn't the sound of a friend. It was the sound of a voice trapped in a box, a soul screaming from within a machine. The dolls hit the market just in time for the Christmas season of 1890. Initial sales were driven by pure novelty and Edison's towering reputation. Parents, eager to give their children the latest technological marvel, brought the expensive toys home. The horror began almost immediately. When the crank was turned, children didn't gasp with delight. They screamed in terror. They recoiled from the grotesque sounds erupting from the smiling porcelain faces. Many children threw the dolls, smashing them against walls. Others became hysterical, refusing to be in the same room as the toy. The uncanny valley had found its first true resident. The dolls occupied a terrifying space between inanimate object and living being. Their vacant, glassy eyes seemed to watch from the corner of the room. Their frozen, painted smiles felt like a cruel joke, and the silence was always pregnant with the threat of that sudden, mechanical voice bursting forth. Parents wrote letters to newspapers and to Edison's company, describing their children's night terrors and their own profound sense of unease. Perhaps the most terrifying accounts were of the dolls that seemed to activate on their own. Due to their crude and delicate mechanisms, a slight jolt or even a change in temperature could cause the stylus to slip, starting the recording. Families reported being woken in the dead of night by a disembodied, demonic voice croaking a nursery rhyme from the darkness of a child's bedroom. There was an old woman who lived in Shoo, the dolls weren't just toys anymore. They were intruders, malevolent entities haunting the very homes they were meant to brighten. The commercial failure was as swift as it was total. Word of mouth spread like wildfire. Within weeks, the Edison Talking Doll became unsellable. The dream was dead. Production was halted after only a month. Edison, a man unaccustomed to failure, was reportedly enraged. He distanced himself from the project, allegedly referring to his creation as little monsters. He ordered all remaining stock to be destroyed. Workers smashed the dolls with hammers, their porcelain faces shattering. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, were burned or buried in unmarked pits. A desperate attempt to erase this embarrassing and terrifying chapter from the great inventor's legacy. But you can't erase a nightmare completely. A few dolls survived the purge. Today, they are among the rarest and most unsettling artifacts of the Victorian era. They sit behind protective glass in museums and private collections, silent testaments to an idea gone horribly wrong. Curators are often hesitant to play them, and when they do, a warning is given. Because even now, over a century later, hearing that distorted, tortured voice sends a chill down the spine. It is the sound of an era's ambition colliding with its limitations. It is the sound of human exhaustion, captured and replayed for eternity. Edison set out to build a machine to combat loneliness, but what he created was an engine of fear. The talking doll stands as a chilling reminder that technology is a mirror. Stay curious, and perhaps check under your bed tonight.